So we're gonna go through these simple foundation behaviors in this class, and I chose them for a very important reason, and it just kind of has me wanting to talk about this general concept of balance and clarity in our training. So with positive reinforcement training, with any kind of training, there are like key foundational concepts that the horse needs to know in order to build more complex things on top of them, right? So that's why I chose these things. Stand still with your head in your own personal space and don't mug me for treats. That's a really big foundational concept that needs to be in place so it doesn't sneak its way into anything else that we're doing, right? Touch the target. We are going to use this to build some far more complex behaviors. We're starting to do it with our leading and with um, even just touching it, turning their head from side to side. We're going to use that in more complicated things. You can teach rein cues this way. You can teach them to lead in a specific spot like this. You can teach them to alter their posture and the way they carry themselves with this. So this is like a really key foundational thing that we can build upon. And it's also, I picked this stuff because it's going to help build some balance between higher energy, lower energy, movement, stand still. I think a lot of us in traditional training land are pretty comfortable with the concept of building balance in a horse, emotional balance, physical balance, but like we have to teach slower, like more energy conserving horses to move out, and we have to teach the like boom 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 move all the time horses that it's okay to be still. And so we can use just these simple behaviors that I've taught in this class to start doing that with our horses in a positive reinforcement context. So some horses are really busy and they may not have a ton of patience for just like standing still. So you can use your liberty leading, you can use your following a target to start to break up the monotony of standing still kind of stuff, but know that you probably need to spend a little more intentional time on our calm default and standing with our head to ourselves, because that's going to be harder for them. We're trying to balance them a little bit more in that direction. Some horses will stand with you and they'll be chill all day long, no problem. They're not going to want to move a whole lot. So you may not spend as much time on calm default. Like they may just kind of have that already in them, and that's really nice when that happens. But you might have to spend a little more time reinforcing the movement stuff, the following, the leading. We might be feeding more often for that. We're trying to make that more and more and more reinforcing so that we can balance them a little bit more in the move out direction. So the simple stuff here, it's headed in a lot of complex directions, but it's really important that we have a really solid foundation before we start trying to build on it. So that's kind of my mindset behind what I've chosen to teach you guys here today, especially knowing that this is like a free introduction to a whole new world for a lot of you guys. I just kind of want to get that out there, that we are headed to do way more than this, right? Like this is the ultimate foundation for a horse who's never done this before. And because we're training in a totally new paradigm, we have to kind of go back to kindergarten for a little bit and teach them what our tools are, what our parameters are, what the rules of training are, how this all works, because most of them have never experienced this in any training before. They've had pressure and release, and that's pretty much it in most cases, right? So they know how to respond to pressure, but they maybe don't know how to problem solve and think through what we're going to offer them here and do it in a positive reinforcement kind of a learning context. So I'm rambling a little bit, but just to reiterate, the goal here, we want to teach the simple stuff so that they have clarity around what our rules are, what our tools are, how this all works, where they should be, what the nice manners are around food, how to be appropriate, and then also build the foundation of movement behaviors and also being still and starting to build that balance, that emotional balance, and keep things, like relaxed and calm, but also being able to have some energy behind that without getting all like jazzed up and hyper around the food, because that is something that can happen too. But if we balance these things appropriately in the very beginning, we can avoid a lot of those pitfalls that people often fall into with horses that are mugging them, crawling all over them, or just like getting hyper aroused with food. So this is why we started in a particular way. So there's many different ways to be successful with clicker training. I certainly am not offering you the only path to success, but the reason I start things the way I do is what we just talked about. So that's that. We'll dive into it.